She believed he was there to heal her, but every session pulled her deeper into his control. What started as therapy became a trap she couldn't see coming. By the time she realized the truth, her life had already changed forever. Emily Harper was 32, living alone in a quiet apartment complex that always smelled like fresh laundry and rain-soaked concrete. From the outside, her life looked stable: decent job, clean car, polite smile, but inside her mind trauma echoed loudly, old memories, old fear, nights where sleep came in short, broken pieces. That was why she sought help. Dr. Nathan Cole came highly recommended. A licensed therapist with a calm voice and a reputation for helping patients rebuild their lives. His office sat on the third floor of a professional building downtown. Soft lighting, neutral colors, framed degrees lining the walls like proof of safety. The first few sessions felt like progress. Emily started sleeping better. Her anxiety eased. She trusted him completely. Nathan listened closely. Almost too closely. He remembered small details she forgot she even shared. Childhood fears, insecurities she had never said out loud to anyone else. Each time he reflected them back to her, it felt validating. Like he truly saw her. But slowly, subtly, the tone shifted. He began framing her relationships as unhealthy, her friends as unreliable, her family as emotionally unsafe. He never told her directly to cut them off. He just planted the idea and let it grow. Emily started canceling plans, ignoring calls, choosing therapy over everything else. Nathan encouraged dependence disguised as care. He told her healing required isolation. That growth happened when outside voices were silenced, that he was the only one trained to guide her through the damage in her mind. At first, Emily questioned it. Then she stopped. Her world shrank quietly. One session at a time, weeks passed, then months. Nathan suggested extra sessions, then private sessions outside the office. He framed it as flexibility, as commitment, as proof he cared more than other therapists ever would. Emily agreed. She always agreed. Her coworkers noticed she changed. She spoke less. She avoided eye contact. Her posture curved inward like she was trying to disappear. When asked if she was okay, she smiled and said therapy was helping. But something felt off. She started doubting her own memories. Nathan would challenge her recollection of events, reframe moments until she questioned what really happened, what she really felt, whether her instincts were even trustworthy. Gaslighting wrapped in clinical language. Emily stopped journaling because Nathan said writing reinforced distorted thinking. She stopped Googling mental health topics because he warned it would confuse her progress. She stopped trusting herself. He replaced her inner voice with his. Then came the rules: no discussing therapy with anyone else, no questioning his methods, no missing sessions without explanation. When Emily hesitated, Nathan framed it as resistance, as her trauma fighting back, fear disguised as healing. Emily felt trapped but could not name why. The first real red flag appeared when she missed a session due to a work emergency. Nathan reacted with cold distance. Not concern, not understanding, withdrawal. Emily panicked. She apologized excessively, took time off work to reschedule, promised it would not happen again. The power dynamic had flipped, and she did not even notice when it happened. Soon her life revolved around him. Her finances strained from increased session fees. Her job performance slipped. Her supervisor issued warnings. Emily blamed herself. Nathan agreed she was self-sabotaging. He told her only he truly understood her. Late one night, Emily searched his name online. She did not know what she was looking for. Maybe reassurance, maybe proof she was safe. Instead, she found silence. No professional social presence, no publications, no peer reviews. His credentials existed, but details were thin, hard to verify. It unsettled her, but she brushed it off. Then came the nightmares. They were vivid. Controlling, always ended with her unable to speak while someone else decided her fate. Nathan framed them as progress, Signs her subconscious was surrendering resistance. That word stuck with her, surrender. Emily began recording sessions secretly on her phone. She told herself it was for personal reflection. Deep down she needed proof of what was happening. Listening back made her stomach twist, the language. The pressure, the subtle threats masked as concern. He questioned her autonomy. He questioned her sanity. Still she kept going. Fear of leaving felt stronger than fear of staying. One afternoon Emily arrived early and heard voices inside Nathan's office. Another patient, a woman crying softly. Nathan's tone was identical, calm, reassuring, leading. Emily felt a chill. How many others were there? That night she reached out to her sister for the first time in months. She typed a long message, then erased it. Nathan's voice echoed in her head. Outside interference. Emotional sabotage. She sent nothing. The final crack came when Nathan suggested she move closer to his office for better consistency. He framed it as therapeutic necessity. He implied her current living environment was toxic. Emily finally felt alarm. She did not agree. She asked for time. Nathan's reaction was subtle but sharp. He questioned her commitment, her honesty, her desire to heal. He implied regression, that without full trust she would spiral. Emily left the session shaking. That night she listened to the recordings again, this time not as a patient but as an observer. Detached, analytical, she heard control, she heard manipulation, she heard someone reshaping her reality. The next morning Emily did something she had not done in months. She trusted herself. She contacted the state licensing board. She reported concerns, not accusations, just concerns. Days passed without response. Nathan noticed the shift immediately. He became attentive again, warm, gentle, promised breakthroughs. The cycle restarted. Then Emily received an email. The board acknowledged her inquiry. They asked for documentation. Emily stared at her phone, realizing she held hours of recorded sessions. Evidence. But before she could reply, her phone buzzed again. A message from Nathan. He reminded her of confidentiality, of trust, of consequences when therapeutic boundaries were violated. Emily froze. He knew. Somehow he knew. That was the moment she understood the danger was real, and that leaving might cost her more than staying ever did. The moment the investigation crossed state lines, everything changed. Emily did not know it yet, but the recordings she handed over had already triggered a quiet alarm inside the licensing board, not because they were dramatic, not because there was screaming or threats, but because the manipulation was precise, methodical, textbook predatory. Nathan Cole was not just bending ethics. He was rewriting identities. Investigators began mapping patterns. Session schedules, patient drop-offs, financial records. They discovered Emily was not the first. She was just the one who finally documented it. 3 former patients had quietly vanished from active therapy records over the past 5 years. No formal discharge notes, no referrals, just silence. Each one had shown sudden isolation before disappearing from professional oversight. All of them had moved closer to Nathan's office. All of them had cut off family contact. All of them had deteriorated rapidly. Emily was the only one who survived long enough to question it. When authorities requested Nathan's full client logs, they found gaps, missing files, altered dates. Session notes written days after appointments took place. It was sloppy, rushed, like someone trying to erase footprints after realizing the ground was being watched. Emily was relocated quietly. Protective housing. Limited contact. She felt fear, but also something new, clarity. For the first time in months, no one told her what to think. The more distance she gained, the louder her own voice became. Investigators interviewed her repeatedly. Each time she grew stronger. Her memory sharpened. The fog lifted. She described the dependency cycle, the emotional withdrawal, the punishment disguised as therapeutic feedback. Experts listened and nodded grimly. This was coercive control disguised as care. Meanwhile, Nathan sensed the pressure tightening. He canceled sessions abruptly, claimed medical leave, then resurfaced under a new practice name, different office. Same methods. He believed rebranding would save him. It did not. The recordings were analyzed by forensic psychologists. Each one highlighted language patterns consistent with psychological domination. Repeated phrases designed to undermine autonomy, emotional anchoring, fear conditioning. Nathan's own words became the cage he built for himself. The final piece came unexpectedly. A former patient reached out after seeing a brief notice about the investigation online. She had relocated years earlier, changed her name, cut contact with everyone. She thought isolation was healing because Nathan taught her it was. Hearing Emily's story cracked something open. She shared journals, emails, voicemails, proof of long-term grooming and dependency. Her evidence confirmed what investigators feared. This was not negligence. This was intentional. The arrest happened quietly. No dramatic standoff. No headlines that day. Nathan Cole was taken into custody as he exited a continuing education seminar on ethical therapy practices. The irony was almost painful. During questioning, he remained calm, confident, detached. He claimed misunderstanding, claimed innovation, claimed misunderstood genius, but the evidence spoke louder. The recordings played back his own voice dismantling trust, breaking boundaries, creating fear of independence, replacing patient identity with his authority. Experts testified that his methods mirrored cult leadership structures. The courtroom felt heavy as victims listened. Emily sat quietly during the trial. She did not look at him. She did not need to. Justice unfolded slowly but deliberately. Nathan lost his license permanently. Criminal charges followed for psychological abuse, fraud, and coercive control. Civil suits stacked behind the verdict like dominoes. He was sentenced not just to prison time, but to lifelong professional erasure. The thing he valued most: authority, influence, access to vulnerable minds. Gone. Emily did not celebrate. Healing did not feel like victory. It felt like reclaiming stolen ground. She began real therapy months later, with transparency, with boundaries, with her consent respected at every step. Progress was slower but real. She rebuilt relationships, returned to work, learned to trust her instincts again. The voice inside her grew stronger. Sometimes she listened to the recordings still, not to relive the fear, but to remember how far she had come. Nathan sat alone in a cell built of consequences. No audience, no influence, no one to shape or control, just silence. And that silence did what therapy never could. It forced him to face himself. Emily stood one evening on her apartment balcony watching the city lights flicker on one by one, life moving forward, unaware of the darkness that almost claimed her. She breathed deeply. For the first time in a long time, her thoughts were her own, and the power he stole from her never found its way back to him. The truth did not explode all at once. It leaked out slowly, like poison through cracked glass. The recordings Emily submitted became impossible to ignore. Each session revealed the same pattern: calm reassurance followed by quiet dismantling, validation followed by control, healing language used like a leash. Investigators realized this was not a mistake. It was a system. Emily was pulled into protective oversight as the case widened. Her phone was monitored, her location kept private. For the first time, the fear she felt was not imagined. It was confirmed. Nathan Cole noticed immediately. He began calling former patients, checking loyalty, reinforcing dependency, framing the investigation as an attack by outsiders who wanted to destroy what he built. Some believed him. One almost disappeared again. That was the moment authorities moved faster. A former patient broke down during questioning. She described how Nathan convinced her the world was unsafe without him, how he replaced her inner voice, how she nearly gave him power of attorney because he said it was therapeutic trust, that confession shifted everything. This was not unethical therapy. This was psychological imprisonment. The arrest came early in the morning. Nathan was calm as the cuffs closed around his wrists. No resistance, no emotion. He looked confident, almost bored, as if this was another test he would outthink. He was wrong. At trial, the courtroom felt suffocating. Emily testified without looking at him. Her voice shook once, then steadied. She explained how her world shrank until he was the center of it, how fear of losing him felt like losing oxygen. Experts followed. Each one dissected his techniques with precision. The jury watched as healing language was translated into control tactics, dependency, isolation, reality distortion. Nathan finally lost his calm. Not when accusations were made, but when his authority was stripped publicly, his license revoked, his practice dissolved, his name tied forever to abuse masquerading as care. The sentence was heavy but fitting. Prison time, lifetime professional ban, mandatory psychological evaluation under the same system he once manipulated. Emily felt no joy watching him fall, only relief. Healing came slowly afterward, real healing. The kind that does not rush or control, the kind that allows choice. She learned how power had been taken without her noticing, and how strength returned the moment she trusted herself again. Nathan sat alone now. No audience, no influence, no vulnerable minds to shape, just silence and consequences. Emily stood outside one evening as rain tapped softly against the city. She felt grounded, present, free. Some wounds never fully disappear. But control lost its grip, and the man who weaponized healing learned too late that truth cannot be manipulated forever.